Let's make a cake. I haven't made a video like this in a long time, so we're gonna see how well this goes. So my husband asked me to make a cake for a guy at work, and I couldn't say no because my husband is like my biggest supporter of my channel, and he's constantly investing into all of my art supplies. And you know what? I figured might as well make a video out of it because let's face it, making cake is an art too. I've made a cake kind of like this before, but just a different theme. We're gonna make, I think it's called a vault line cake. I could be wrong, I don't know. It's been a while since I've made it. But the inside of the vault line is going to be 4 different logos. They couldn't decide what they wanted the cake theme to be, so we decided to put it all in one cake. We're just gonna do a double batch of buttercream, a spice cake, and I will link the recipe down below. I just got mine off Pinterest. We're gonna do the filling, which is a cream cheese filling with a cinnamon streusel crumble, I believe it's called. And then tomorrow we're going to decorate the cake. So when I grease my pans, what I like to do is I like to spray it really, really well with some vegetable oil. And then what I do is I take a little bit of flour and I just shake it onto the pan. Making sure to get that evenly coated all around the edges so that your cake doesn't stick. If you wanted to go the extra step, you could use a silicone brush because you really don't want your cake to stick on these pans. It's really heartbreaking when one of your cakes break in half. Now all of our cake pans are nice and greased. So I am making a double batch of this recipe because I need 3 8-inch cake rounds, plus I want to have a little bit left over for us to taste test. So in a medium bowl, I am mixing up all of our dry ingredients, which is the flour, the baking powder, the spices, and the salt, and then I'm going to combine that and set it aside. As far as the spices go, I didn't buy each individual spice, so I opted for pumpkin pie spice, and there was a total of 3.5 teaspoons of spices all combined, so I used 3.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. It already smells so good with all of that pumpkin spice. I don't use butter in my cake recipes because I live in a rural area and we live off propane, so anytime that I use real butter in my cake recipes, my cakes sink in the middle. I don't know what the chemistry is and why that happens, but according to my dad, he said that propane heats up a lot hotter than natural gas. So I have a feeling that that is the reason why butter just doesn't mix well with my cakes because of the high temperature of propane. And I've tried different I've tried to lower the heat to 325 and it just doesn't work out. So I think that the best alternative is to use imperial butter or margarine because it is oil-based and it doesn't react like butter would. So I'm going to use 3 sticks of margarine because, like I said, I am doubling this recipe. And we're going to need 3 cups of brown sugar. But we are going to use light brown sugar because in the streusel you use light and in the cake you use dark, and I usually just buy light sugar anyway, so I don't think it's really going to make a big difference. So we're going to need 3 cups of light brown sugar or dark brown sugar if that's what you have. And with brown sugar you have to pack it, and I just do it right in the bag, just like that. We're just going to cream this until it's fully combined and nice and fluffy. Okay, while that was mixing, I went ahead and I cracked 6 eggs into a glass measuring cup, and I put 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract in there. And you're supposed to put 1 egg in at a time and fully mix it until you add the next. We're going to do the same thing like we did when we were creaming the butter, and we're going to scrape the sides just to make sure all the ingredients get incorporated together before we go to the next step. Okay, so next, this is actually new for me. I've never had a recipe where we didn't use some kind of liquid like milk, water, buttermilk. Instead, we're using applesauce. And this is 2 cups, which is almost an entire 24-ounce container of original applesauce unsweetened. And it says that you're supposed to alternate between the flour mixture and your applesauce until it's fully combined on low speed. One of the golden rules about baking a cake is you're not supposed to overmix it. So I'm going to stop it before it has a chance to overmix, and I'm going to do the same as I did the last 2 times, and I'm going to go ahead and scrape the sides. Be careful when you do that. You don't want to break your lever. I should have been more careful with that. You're supposed to hold the bottom as you release the lever. That way it doesn't break the inside. And you guys, this smells so good. Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. So you got to hold the bottom while you release, because this is really, really heavy and you don't want to break the inside of your machine. So I'm actually going to take it off and I'm going to stir it a little bit manually just to make sure that all of the bottom pieces of flour and butter and sugar and everything is fully incorporated before we divvy them out into our pans. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the wraps from my margarine and I'm going to put it down at the bottom of my pan and make sure that it's nice and evenly flat. And this is going to act as my parchment paper. You guys are not going to believe what I just did. I forgot to put the baking powder in the batter, in the flour mixture. And I made sure to look at the recipe and really make sure, but I guess I forgot. So I could have easily deceived you guys and I could have fixed my mistake and just kept going with it. But we don't do things like that around here. Even the best of the best of the best make mistakes, and I'm not the best of the best, so I'm definitely going to be making mistakes all the time. Anyway, so what I did to fix it is I pulled them out of the oven. Thankfully, the pans weren't even really that hot yet, but the mixture was a little bit soft, like it already kind of heated through a little bit. So I threw it all back inside of my mixing bowl, not my standing mixer, just a regular mixing bowl. I added in my baking powder and then I mixed it with a silicone spatula and then I redivvied it out. And yes, I reused my, my butter wraps, and I also had to wipe out the bottoms of the pans with a paper towel and re-grease and all that. So they're back in the oven now. Alrighty, I think we're halfway through baking and I don't see any sinking in the middle. I can't believe I made that mistake. Big mistake. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
Big mistake. Big. Huge. I have to go shopping now.
I was going to do this step tomorrow, but since I already have the oven on and preheated, I might as well just do it now. We need a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, a tablespoon of cinnamon, and then we also need 6 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then we need a pinch of salt and 3 tablespoons of melted butter. And I'm also only doing 1 serving of this. I'm not doubling this. I think that this should be plenty enough for the 8-inch cake. I don't know, my kids and my husband, they like to eat their cake plain, so they're not really that like fond of fillings or buttercream. They're good with just the cake alone. So if I don't have any left over, it's not a big deal. And we're just going to use a fork to mix it all up, and it is going to be a bit crumbly. And it says to spread it on a parchment lined cookie sheet and then bake it for 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so one of my cakes is rising more than the other side, so I'm gonna rotate my pans so that they can evenly cook all the way around. So I'm gonna pull the one in the back to the side, the one over here on the right to the back, and the one on this side to the right. That makes sense? I hope it did. I personally don't like to level off my cakes. I don't like cutting the tops off. I feel like a lot of the flavor is in the top round of the cake. So instead of leveling my cakes, I just flatten them slightly so that they're a little bit more leveled. Okay, so here's what the streusel is looking like right now. It says you can break it up. It's a little hot, so you gotta be kind of careful. I put this in for 6 minutes because my oven has been on for almost an hour now, so it's like really heated up and I didn't want to burn it. So it says to cook it between 5 and 7 minutes, so I cooked it for 6 and it looks pretty good. I thought I had this recording this entire time and neither one of my cameras were recording. Sorry about that, guys. I had 6 pounds, I had 6 sticks of butter, so 2 pounds of salted butter, and I creamed it with a paddle attachment, and it took me roughly 3 minutes to get it to be creamy, just like this. I use salted butter because I feel like it works best in my recipes, but a lot of bakers like to use unsalted butter and they add in their own salt. Right now I'm just adding in about 4 capfuls of vanilla extract. Did you know that the cap is about a half a teaspoon on the small ones and 1 teaspoon on the big ones? I like to add water before I add my powdered sugar, a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I just put just enough to smooth out the buttercream. And then now this is cheesecake flavored sugar-free Jell-O pudding mix. You could use regular pudding mix. You can use any flavor you want, but I'm using this because this is what I have. And I just use this because I like the texture that it gives the buttercream and the flavor as well. So I'm gonna start off with 2, and that's probably about 2 tablespoons worth of the Jell-O pudding mix. You don't want to put too much, just a little bit. Now we're going to start adding in our powdered sugar a little bit at a time. I'm going to turn it down though, just so that it doesn't spray everywhere. And this is a double batch of buttercream, so you could easily cut this recipe in half. And I'm going to do this slowly. If you try to put all the powdered sugar in there all at once, it might just come up out of the machine and you don't want that. You want it to stay inside your bowl. And you just add water as needed, just a splash at a time. You're really going to want to take your time with this process. You don't want to rush it because you want your buttercream to be at a really, really good consistency where it spreads really well, but it also keeps a firm texture. Okay, now's a really good time to go ahead and bring it down and scrape the sides of the bowl. Some more powdered sugar, and then I'm going to lift it back up and continue mixing. Okay, again, we're going to have to scrape the sides of the bowl, and then we're going to do this all over again with the second bag of powdered sugar. I just want to make sure that it's not overpoweringly sweet. And I think that what works best with this buttercream is not to use it right away. Like, it needs time to sit and rest. So it works best the next day. The last thing that we're gonna make is the cinnamon cream cheese frosting. We're just gonna do one 8-ounce block of cream cheese. And I didn't even clean out the bowl because it's pretty much the same ingredients. The only thing we're adding is just cinnamon and cream cheese, so there's no need to clean the bowl. We're only gonna do the 1 stick of butter. That is plenty, I think. And then we're going to use about 1/2 of a bag of powdered sugar. And then I'm going to add vanilla, which usually with cream cheese recipes, they don't require vanilla because the cream cheese has enough flavor on its own, but I always do. And then it says to add 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. I feel like that might be a little bit too much, so I'm only just going to put like a little bit in there. I feel like a whole tablespoon is a lot. Especially when you have the spice cake and you have the cinnamon streusel, I don't think the cream cheese frosting needs a whole lot. And we're just gonna mix it all up. It's gonna look dry at first, and then as it mixes, it's gonna get softer and it's gonna start combining and becoming kind of silky smooth. See, it comes together real quick. So I'm gonna put the speed up a little bit. Okay, I want to go ahead and give this a taste test. That's perfect. We're almost done here today, you guys. We're at the home stretch. This was the last thing I needed to make, and then tomorrow we're going to start assembling. Okay, so this is how I wrap up my cakes, and I put them in the freezer and let them rest overnight. This is like a secret weapon to having a really good firm cake for when you're decorating it. It works best. My pan is completely cool to the touch. I'm gonna use my offset spatula to release the cake from the pan and pray to the good Lord that this cake comes out of the pan nice. Because remember the mistake we made earlier where I forgot to put the baking powder? Yeah, let's just hope. Yay! Yay! That came out perfectly. And this comes off nice. And then we just wrap it up in in saran wrap. This feels so moist too. And I'm not even gonna clean my pan. I'm just gonna put my cake back inside the pan like this, and it's gonna go directly into the freezer just like this. Ooh, perfect again. 2 for 2. What do you think, guys? Are we gonna do it again? Is this a 3 for 3? 1, 2, 3. Woohoo! This one got a little embedded in, just a little bit. But it's okay, it looks good. And no, I don't cut the crust off, I never do. My husband always tells me that the crust is his favorite part, so I always leave it on. We have one little 6-incher that's left over. And we're also gonna freeze this one too, because like I said, it tastes best when it's the next day. And this one does not have the butter wrapper at the bottom. I didn't have enough, so I just greased it, and that's all I did. So if this one breaks, it's not a big deal, but let's see if I did a good enough job at making it not stick. I did good. I did good. Yay, 4 for 4. Oh, this one's a lot thicker. That's okay though. This is gonna be a pretty tall cake. Okay, that's it for today. I'm just gonna stick all of these cakes in the freezer. They're gonna stay in there until tomorrow morning. and we will get started putting it all together. Okay, it is day 2 and we are getting ready to put this cake together and finally decorate it. I am a little bit stressed out, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a rough morning. Our power was out all night last night, so my cakes were in the freezer and it did stay cold in there, but they did thaw out. So when I pulled them out, they were already mostly thawed out. So we're working with semi-room temperature cake. I typically like to do it when it's still slightly frozen, but it's gonna be just fine. So I already did prep my boards. This is my base. It's just 3 10-inch cake boards. I taped it in 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I used the Crafter's Square vinyl paper from Dollar Tree, and I just used tape to tape that on to the back side of it. Like I cut the little slits, and then I taped the back side, because if you don't tape it, the paper will come off the board. And then I used the same 10-inch board to create an 8-inch round, because you want to give it a little bit of a lip for that buttercream. I used the outside border of the cake pan, not the inside of the cake pan, to create that perfect 8-inch round cake board for my cake. And this is what I mean about not wanting to cut the tops off. See how glistening that top is? That top layer, it glistens because of all those sugars. It all came to the top. This is very close to like a muffin top. You know, like when you go to a donut shop and you buy a muffin and your favorite part is the muffin top? That's the same thing with cake. That's why I don't really understand why people like to cut that off. I personally don't. Especially when it comes to homemade cakes, you really don't need to cut that part off. Now with cream cheese, you don't really need to have a border of buttercream around the edges. I know some people like to take a piping bag and they like to squeeze a border around the cake border and then put the cream cheese in the middle, but cream cheese is pretty stable, so you really don't need to do that. You know what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this upside down, because I do want to add just a tiny bit of height to it, and by flipping it upside down, it'll give it a little bit more of a height. It does create a gap here, so you are gonna have to fill in that gap. Oh no, oh my gosh, I am, hold on. You know what I forgot? You guys know what I forgot, right? I'm making all the good mistakes in this video. You know what? I've seen many content creators make many mistakes in their video, and it's comical. So this looks like the thicker side. So we're gonna go ahead and put the thinner side like this. There we go. Now that's a really well stacked cake. It looks pretty good, but if you are, you know, the kind of person that needs it to be precise, I do have a leveler here, and yes, I only use this for cake. It's actually perfect. Looks good. Doesn't have to be perfect, just perfect. So I'm gonna fill in these little gaps here with buttercream. might make more gaps, and then you just keep filling it in because as you're scraping it, it's pushing the buttercream in. So little holes might come about, and then you just keep filling them until it's completely smooth. We're gonna ice the top with a good amount of buttercream. And this is pretty much gonna be your top layer. So make sure that you get a pretty good thick layer on the top. But then again, we are gonna be icing this cake one more time. So it doesn't have to be too thick, but a pretty good layer. And then I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper down. These are just the pre-cut sheets from Dollar Tree. You could use regular wax paper. I do want to measure the circumference around the cake, and also I want to measure how tall it is so I know how big to make my edible images. So I'm just going to use a soft measuring tape, and it is 26 inches around, and it is almost 6 inches tall. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the refrigerator, and I'm going to let it sit in there while we work on the edible images. And they are homemade. I don't have an edible printer. I never have. I've always wanted one, but I've never had the money to invest into one. So I make them myself, and this wouldn't be a coloring channel if I didn't. So what I do is I copy and paste my images to a Word document in landscape. For this particular one, I have DuckTales, Transformers, Toxic Adventure, and G.I. Joe. And then for some extras, I have Huey, Dewey, and Louie and the Transformers face. And then I have some edible frosting sheets. I get mine off of Amazon. This is the Cucini brand. The last time I tried to get them, they were unavailable. But I mean, I just buy whatever's on sale or whatever's cheap. I think I paid like 20 bucks for 18 sheets. 12 sheets. They come in a foil envelope to keep them fresh. I've had these for a long time. I want to say at least 2 or 3 years. They still smell fresh. And they're still really pliable. I always opt to get these. I do not ever buy the Wilton brand ones because those ones crack so easily because they dry out so fast. I also have my tracing pad. This is by Crayola. I think that we got this at Walmart. It is the best. It turns on. Then I have a bunch of edible markers, and I have to stress that these are edible because I did share some shorts a while back when I first started the channel, and someone thought that I was using regular markers. that took a lot longer than I would like to admit, but I think they came out really good, and I'm really hoping that they fit the cake. They look like they might be just a tad too big, but we're gonna make it work. Even if we have to overlap them a little bit, it's fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna flip our cake over, and it should be relatively easy because the cake is now really firm. It's been in there for several hours. You could take the wax paper off, and it's nice and smooth and flat. We're gonna put the cake on the cake base, and I'm just gonna put a dollop of buttercream here at the bottom to give it some extra support. It's gonna act like glue. You don't need a lot, just like a little. And since it's cold and it's firm to the touch, I can kind of like pick it up a little bit easier and not worry about hurting the cake. I have a little bowl of water here. I can start to hear it in my voice that I'm getting tired because I'm speaking really low, and I had completely forgotten to press record on my second camera that was facing the angle properly to show you what I was doing here, so I apologize about that. But this process couldn't be any easier than just explaining to you that I just used a wide flat brush and I added the thinnest layer of water possible, being really careful not to get water on your fingers and touch the outside of your or the face of your image because you can smear that ink very easily. And then I just adhere it onto the cake, and this is why I had a thicker layer of buttercream. It's actually even better if the cake is wrapped in fondant, but being that it's a buttercream cake, it would be kind of weird to have fondant and then do the next process with buttercream. So just make sure you have a really thick layer of buttercream, and also make sure it's chilled really well before you adhere your edible images to the side of your cake. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and put a bunch on top. And we kind of want it to go over the edge. I could have done this in different colors, like I could have done like blue or green or black, but I'm keeping it real simple because this is a very last minute cake. So now I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna place some around the border of the cake here. Being careful not to cover up any of those logos. If it covers up a little bit, it's fine, but I don't want to cover up a lot of it. Okay, so since I didn't have my camera rolling on the side view where I really wanted you guys to get a close-up view of this, I'm just going to go ahead and put this in fast forward and just kind of talk to you guys a little bit. I was kind of mentioning in this video that my husband only gave me like 1 week to put this together, and usually I require at least 2 weeks because it takes a while to do all of the research, go shopping, put all the ingredients together, get my ideas together and stuff. So this was literally a last minute cake. And although I wouldn't call myself a professional, I'm more of like in the middle kind. Like I'm not a professional, but I'm not a beginner either. I did do cakes like this for about 13 years, and then I stopped right at the time that COVID happened. And I did go as far as getting my LLC, and I had all these plans to get my cottage law license, but COVID just took a turn for the worse. Over here where I live, a lot of people couldn't afford cake anymore, so I stopped baking. And then I just lost the desire to bake at all, and I just declined offers for cake orders. And I closed my LLC, and I just gave up my dream of being a baker, and I just dove deep into painting and coloring, and that's why my channel kind of just like turned into a hobby channel. But whenever I do get cakes, I do like to hear from you guys. Do you guys like watching videos like these, or are they not really a thing anymore? Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So we're gonna set this in the fridge for about 10 minutes just so that the top gets firm so I could flip it. So while I was doing this part of it, I didn't realize that my camera on this side wasn't recording, so I'm gonna record the bottom process for you guys. So like what I was saying, this part couldn't get any easier. But if I had to explain it, I would say I'm just using little dollops of buttercream and spreading it all throughout the base of the cake, only about an inch and a half, just enough to cover the line of that edible image. I kind of want to make it look as if I peeled the center part of the cake off and it revealed the logos underneath. So the gap where all of the logos are showing, those buttercream edges don't have to be straight. While the cake was chilling, I made a happy birthday cake topper. So I'm going to put that here. Oh, I smudged it a little. See, I told you that would happen. And then I went ahead and I transferred Huey, Dewey, and Louie onto some fondant. So it's like a two-dimensional cake topper. Hold on. Before I hit them on there, I think I'm going to do a border of buttercream. Perfect. Okay, and then we're just going to add some sprinkles to give it a little bit of color. And I think we're going to do Huey, Dewey, and Louie scattered. So we'll do one right here. One right here. And one right here. I think it looks cute. Oh, I think he's gonna love it. I really do. I think he's gonna love it. Ta-da! We're finished. And that's a wrap, you guys. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun making this cake. It has been a long time since I've made a cake, yet alone even filmed one from start to finish. With that said, you guys, if you made it to the very end, thank you so much. But you guys are gonna have to let me know what part of the video you liked the most, if you guys prefer just the baking process or if you prefer just the decorating process. You guys are gonna have to let me know. The guy, he absolutely loved his cake. He said it brought tears to his eyes, so that definitely made my day. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I don't know when, but I'll see you in my next video. You guys want to try this cake?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, it looks so yummy.
You want,
Yes. Cake. Looks delicious, Mom.
It does?
Yeah. What is it?
This is a spice cake with cream cheese and strudel, cinnamon strudel on top.
Thank you, Mom.
The cake is good, huh?
I like the cake.
It's just like cinnamon frosting.
Yeah, that's really good. Bite?
It's good. I like the cake.
And I even thought that I overcooked the cake, but I didn't. It's good. What do you guys think? Good? All right, say bye.
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 Bye.